have reacted in past conflicts. And of course, this morning, through the day so far, we've been focusing on the implications of Operation Sindoor and the non-escalatory precise strike by the Indian armed forces. How have markets reacted to past conflicts with Pakistan? Mahima joining in to tell you about that and also the sectors that have reacted. Mahima?
Right. So in terms of how the markets have performed in the past wars or when India has retaliated to circumstances, we saw that initial drawdowns were seen, followed by swift recoveries in the markets. Impact on equity markets was typically unfold in two different phases. The initial drawdown was seen in the Nifty, followed by a recovery in pre-event levels was also seen swiftly. Now, in terms of how it happened, in the Indian Parliament attack, it took 14 days for the markets to bottom out, but the recovery was done in the next 11 days. During the train blast, the time to bottom out was only 1 day, and the recovery took 2 days. In terms of the 26/11 attacks, 7 days markets bottomed out, but the recovery was done in one single day. During the Pathankot attack, the bottom out did last for 54 odd days, but the recovery took a little longer. 62 days was the time where market took time to recover to the pre-event level basis. In terms of the Uri base attack, 2 days time markets bottomed out and 2 days markets recovered. Now, in terms of the other attacks as well, surgical hit, again 1 day and 5 days of recovery. The Pulwama attack, 5 days to bottom out and 2 days of recovery. In terms of the Balakot attack, 2 days in terms of markets to bottom out and a 1 day recovery. And Pahalgam attack, we saw 5 days markets did bottom out, but the recovery was seen in one single day. Now, in terms of how sectoral trends fared out, well, domestic cyclicals were preferred during these times and defensives did lag. In terms of how the overall sectors average returns panned out, media average return of around 2.7%, metals around 1.5%, banking around 1.4%. These were the sectors that outperformed. Sectors that held strong and stood strong were financials, PSU banks and energy, where the average returns ranged between 1 to around 1.4%. In terms of sectors that did see a downtick and pressure was the defensives, that is your FMCG, where the change was around negative 0.5%, and IT saw a negative 0.3% in terms of its reaction. And overall, in terms of when India retaliated in these circumstances, domestic facing sectors like capital goods, real estate and PSU bank overall led the gain. So this is how markets have reacted to previous wars and retaliations.
Just to add here, we're talking about 5-year period, and from 2019 we had a COVID, and then the entire dynamics of markets have changed, and the retail money which is coming into the market has also gone up, right? So you have mutual funds which are as good as a good set of investors coming into and supporting the market there, and then we have 30,000 odd crores of gross money of retail money going into the mutual funds which is there. So there is a change in dynamics which has happened in since 2019. Of course, it gives you a past precedent, but it may not be the same thing here.
Important point.
So so you need to factor in that yesterday or till yesterday we had 14 days of continuous buying by foreign investors, and yesterday we had marginal net sell by the DIIs. So you have the dry powder ready with the mutual funds, and if there is steep correction, which is not like to be because it's going to be a measured one, we have the domestic institutions all geared up to support
Very
the market.
important perspective, I think.
And to this, what's important from what Mahima was pointing out as well, leaving aside a Pathankot attack, if you talk about Uri, the army base attack, the strike as well as Pulwama, all of these three, the time to absolute bottom that it's taken is almost 1 to 5 days.
True.
Not more than that. And the recovery time also has been similar in terms of 2 to 5 days from that bottom, right? It was only Pathankot where we took nearly more than 50 days to reach that bottom, and little more than that in terms of coming back in recovery. So if you have to take precedence in terms of the timelines, and if you have to follow what happened during Uri and Pulwama, I think the pressure to bottom is going to be another 2 to 3 or 4 days till we see what happens, what Pakistan does. but that recovery is going to be interesting because the money that is sitting on the tables that probably will be put in right now is going to be interesting, as Sunil Subramaniam also pointed out, right?
Also the fact is that the Uri and Pulwama were both attacks on military installations and military personnel, paramilitary personnel. This is the first time it's a civilian terrorist attack has happened, and as long as there is no violation of airspaces by either of the country, this should be a precision attack and means crossfire across the LAC or the international border. But if there is a violation which happens, in today I think what we are understanding is that India has not violated the Pakistan airspace. It's from Indian airspace that has been done.
Yeah.
But today, if there is any violation, then only the second escalation comes into play.
In fact, that's perspective we probably get from Dr. Tarak Kartar.